here. This will be a regular session of the Goldendale City Council for March 16, 2020. On the roll call, we need a motion to excuse Shannon Middleton and Phil Ontiveros. They have commitments tonight that they will not be here.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to excuse Shannon Middleton and Phil Ontiveros, City Councilman, from attending this particular meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That's done. Now, there's a further thing I need to do, is to amend the agenda before that's considered. Under probably presentations, I'll be presenting a emergency proclamation for the city of Goldendale, and also a emergency policy on remote attendance to city council meetings. It'll be done by telephone for probably at least 2 months. So those are the things I'd like to add into the agenda, and I'll put them under presentations. I think that's the best place. We have a motion on the agenda and the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the agenda for this city council meeting and the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. With the amendments, excuse me, with the amendments approved. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and present the emergency proclamation. You have it. I won't read it all, but there's been a lot of meetings by the Emergency Operations Center formed a policy group, and it consists of the 3 county commissioners and the 3 mayors of the consolidated incorporated cities of Cleveland County, Benton, White Salmon, and Goldendale. And we've had meetings at the center, and I usually refer to it as 911 center. That's just where I'm stuck.
It's okay, we'll take it.
Yes. And we're very fortunate to have 2 city council persons that work and are part of the 911 center. Julie Buck and Phil both work there. So we got an extra end to understanding what things like this that need to be covered and talked about. But on this particular one, this was driven by those discussions with the commissioners, the Emergency Coordination Center, and the 3 mayors over what we will be doing and to deal with this coronavirus situation we have throughout our state and quite a bit of the country as well. And there's several whereases, but the reason this is important is because we're into a situation that seems to be very dangerous for a lot of people because it is so infectious. It may not kill that many people, but it has a target group of elderly that don't have the defenses they had when they were young. And so that's a part of why we're trying to take steps like this to educate the public, to help them to support this same situation. If you think about it, with schools closed, a lot of parents at work are going to have little ones that they need somehow to take care of. And very often they go see grandma and grandpa. And that can be a really serious situation for the grandparents. And little children that have mild cases of it are still highly contagious. So you have to be very careful for any of us where we are and how far we are from other people. Thanks to Shannon and Phil, I've almost got that experience. I was going to suggest Andy move, but it just wasn't right.
In the EOC, we're just as close, so we're not even better in
Yes.
the operations center. So.
Yeah, the very first thing in all these discussions was a meeting with everybody in the same room, which broke all the rules. But there's a lot of things going on at all levels of our government, from the president's office, state, all the governors are doing different things. This particular declaration, Emergency Declaration 2020-01, is something that in an emergency situation a mayor can do. So it's being presented more information, but it was advised and felt that this was exactly the step we needed to do to help our population and to protect not only our citizens, but our city council and people in City Hall. If you drove in and walked by the front door of this building, you saw that it's already closed. We closed it this morning after we had a very, very good meeting with all the city workers, public works. Not everybody, but all the public works was there. And we've had meetings also with Reggie about the situation and Noah. So we've tried to cover all the bases to try to work out what we're going to do over these next 2 to 3 months or longer to protect those employees, but also to protect the public. Because it's a very, it's something we've never been through, most of us, in our life. And this was the one, I think you have copies, right? But it's a declaration that outlines the different conditions, the different reasons we've done this. And it says, the mayor of City of Goldendale verbally proclaims that a local emergency now exists due to the COVID-19 outbreak, and that emergency operations are in effect, and this necessitates the utilization of emergency powers granted under RCW 38.52.070. So it's something that we have to do, and we need to do it expeditiously. The other item I wanted to introduce, this was the first. The second, and it was from discussions not only within the city administration, but with the governor, with the county commissioners and other mayors. Since our city hall is closing, it's available, the public will have the services that we can provide, but they won't be coming into City Hall. There's a drop box outside, so bills and things can be paid there. Of course, the telephones are always available to answer questions and to help them. And if there are extenuating services, there's things that we can have staff advise them directly to help them with, or provide the service if it's something that the city should be providing. But from, this will be our last time meeting for a while. And we'll be meeting by telephone, and you'll be given the number to call, and we'll meet 7 o'clock on, what is it, April 2nd, I believe it is? April 6th, the next city council meeting. And it'll all be done by telephone, but it will still be on cable, because the public has to have an opportunity to listen to the discussions that are taking place over these telephones. I'll be here, Larry will be here, and Connie will be here. It's just to keep the social distancing there. And the one that I'm introducing is the emergency policy on remote attendance by the city council. And this is something that we need to carry out. I think, I know we'll have the help of the 911 center, and Councilwoman Beck will be able to help us, Buck will be able to help us. And we will do our best to conduct that, where you have plenty of chances to ask questions, have discussions, also to have agenda items taken care of. Business will be taken care of over the telephone. And any other type of special meetings we'll probably be doing along that same guideline, pretty sure. This is something that's being done by many, many different organizations that have a more formal set of meetings that they have to have. The commissioners are in the same situation as we are. And so there's no way we can put 7 city councilmen around the table 6 feet apart. We don't have a table that big. And it's because of how infectious this is, you really are best off staying out of most anywhere. It's just that bad. And the main provisions that from the very beginning we're told, if you have a fever of 100.1, you have a bad cough, or there's one other one.
Difficulty breathing.
Yeah, that's really the key one.
I know them by heart.
Well, that's the scariest one because that respiratory side of it can be extremely dangerous and lethal to people. So we'll still be giving the required notice for city council meetings, will be in the paper, all of that. But we'll be working to get this all done by telephone. And services in city council, or services in city hall will be primarily by telephone. Bill paying can be done with the drop box or by mail. It's the best ways to do that. There'll be other changes along that line, in particular the issues with water cutoff time that will need to be expanded because of the circumstances of people not necessarily being able to get back and forth. For the salaries of our city workers, those don't change. There will be 2 to 3 on duty for public works, plus the water specialist will be on duty. Same with the police, and Reggie will explain some of his approach. The fire department is doing pretty much the same thing, so that we are not exposing these vital services to each other. If one of them gets sick, we don't want to lose everybody. So that's what this is all about. And those are the main 2 things that I wanted to present. And we can have questions or discussions with anybody. I'll explain whatever I can of either one of these. We can do that now, and then we'll go on to department reports afterwards.
Well, I was wondering, Mayor, for example, Nancy, would she be here to record, or how would that?
I just had a chance to discuss it with Nancy, so it worked out really well.
Okay.
And she will be here to cover the mayor, city manager,
Mm-hmm.
city clerk, and our part of conducting the meeting. And they'll be able to hear, the public has to be able to hear what we're discussing.
Right.
So that will go over the internet on the YouTube channel. So people will be able to, that's what's required for open meetings.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll be able to hear that, the discussions, and that should work fine. I think we'll probably have a public comment section worked in there. I'm not sure how that will go, but we can certainly make that open to the public.
Sure.
It's a big thing, but when you're working with people around town and they ask questions, be as transparent as possible, because the lack of transparency creates amazing fear and panic, and we don't want that. This is not something we need to panic over, but we need to be very, very careful of.
Right.
Any other comments or questions?
What are we gonna do for citizens that possibly lose their jobs, their water bill, or is there, I know you mentioned, maybe if they can't pay their bill or be extended, what are we doing with that?
By everything I understand, the state and federal funds have already been set up to cover these types of things that are totally unexpected and uncontrollable, particularly for people that work either for tips or for hourly wage in a restaurant. We're going to have a proclamation tomorrow from the governor that will more than likely close all restaurants other than for takeout service, which is something that will be very helpful for us to still be able to go to restaurants or support them, but you won't be able to sit in a restaurant and enjoy the meal there. You'll have to take it home or to some lonely vacant park somewhere. But this is the life we're going to have for a few months, and we're going to have to honor it best we can for the safety of our citizens and for our own safety, each one of us. Any other questions or comments? If not, we'll go to department reports, and we'll hear from Reggie, our police chief.
I just got a few things tonight, Mayor. The first is, obviously the Goldendale Police Department is taking safety precautions to keep, obviously, the citizens and also our 9 commissioned police officers that we have in the department along with my 2 support staff. Some of the things that we're doing inside the police department, I just got a small list, I'll just go through them very quickly. Some of them are obvious, washing the hands, we're not shaking hands anymore. We're wiping down our workstations and our vehicles a minimum of 2 times per shift. Every officer has all the disinfectant wipes issued out to them for their workstation and their patrol cars. We are not responding at this time to medical calls unless it is life-threatening or our medics ask for police assistance. So we're gonna let them do their job. We're kind of staying away from the medical part of it right now to try to keep the officers healthy. We will use personal protective equipment at all scenes where blood or a person who is sick is involved. If anybody needs, my officers, if they need any more gloves or Tyvek suits or a mask, those are things that I'm working actively to get for them. We will take calls for service by telephone whenever possible, instead of going to people's residences. That's already working out pretty well for us. There are some people who want to see an officer face to face. In those situations, we will go and do that with them. If the officers are feeling ill, obviously we're telling them to stay home, do not come in. We are closing the lobby of the police department at this time. We are going to have, we have a sign out front that tells them to call 911 if it's an emergency, or 773-3780 for non-emergency, or 773-4545 for non-emergency calls. We're able to do a lot of our stuff can be done online, especially public disclosure, and we're able to email a lot of the stuff out now. So we closed the lobby today. It seemed to work pretty good. I know we'll have a couple of issues as we go along, and we'll work through those as we see them. But we will go out and talk to people out in the parking lot. We're just not allowing anybody that's not essential to the police function to come inside of our building at this time. We currently are doing well on all of our personal protective equipment. We had a pretty good stockpile for most of the officers. We are looking for some additional equipment, but mostly it's masks. Right now I'm down to about 3 masks per officer, so we're actively trying to find some more masks. We are working closely with our dispatch center to ensure that the officers know important information before they actually respond to the calls, which I'm working with Julie on, and dispatch is doing a great job of asking questions so the officers will know before they get to a residence if they need to put on personal protective equipment before they actually get into the residence or to the scene. So those are some of the things that we're currently doing. I really am trying to make sure that we keep all of the officers healthy. With only having 9 commissioned, even if we lost 2 or 3 officers, it's a significant amount to be covering calls in the city. We are receiving a lot of phone calls right now from citizens that are worried about loved ones. We're getting a lot of people calling the police department asking for welfare checks. We do have quite a few people who've retired here and their children live in other areas and they're worried about their parents. So we're going out and we're actively checking on parents, making sure that they're okay. The officers, we're trying to keep them as separated as possible. We have canceled all trainings for the next 4 weeks, which we will reassess at that time. And that's just to keep all the officers out of one spot at one time. And now we have staggered their shifts, so they're not going to be in the PD at the same time during shift change. Some will be going 30 minutes early leaving, and some will be coming in 30 minutes late, so they're not going to be seeing each other, just to try to have a little bit more of a separation to try to keep them all healthy during this time. So that's what we're doing at the police department, and that's all I have for tonight, Mayor.
Good, thank you. Now the police department, they wipe down the door handles of the car, the steering wheel, anything where this type of contaminant would have rested or left there if you parked your car outside. It's a good idea to do that yourself. You may not wipe down the inside if all the windows are up, but at the same time, it's not a bad idea at all. This is incredibly contagious, and that's the spooky part of it. Now, Larry and I talked a little bit today, and we're changing, at least for now, the report of officers and city administrator. Larry's going to give his report, and then whoever has something they want to say, and that could be every one of you, but it will just open it up for a conversation, whatever you might want to discuss or ask or propose. Larry?
I was just gonna say, I don't have much more to add. We've been talking about all the things that I was gonna say, so
Well, I
I'll
love to
leave it
talk.
at that. He did well, very, very well, Mayor.
Thank you. city council members, is there something in particular that's either been brought to your attention or something that you want to have a discussion on? We'd be happy to do that. Julie?
So I just want to share to our police department and the fire department my thoughts and prayers that they're taking safe precautions when going out, and knowing how scary this is, and you know, a lot of people don't take it seriously, but being in the business that I am, and you know, the things that we've seen, it's really important to follow the recommendations, wash your hands, all of that. So hopefully we keep our responders safe with their protective equipment, and do whatever we can to help them, for sure. Appreciate it.
And I think the effort of the day is for calmness, that people understand what this is, but they're not terrified of it, just cautious.
I just want to make a comment to the Department of Emergency Management. I think they've been on it since day one when we thought there's going to be a potential crisis. But then it's, they've been in touch with the cities and also with the police departments, and I feel that they've all done a good job. And so, yeah, that's great.
And I've noticed when we put the sign up today, I thought, oh boy, people are going to really be upset and banging on the door. They read the sign, they weren't happy that it couldn't come in and pay the bill, but they knew they'd take it out to the drop box and put the bill in there and take care of it that way. And we haven't had, as far as I know, complaint one or issue one. People understand this is something serious.
Well, and the county offices are also closed as of tonight.
Exactly.
So the courthouse, I think Superior Court is the only court that will be open. But the county buildings will all be, staff will still be present, but they will be closed to the public starting tomorrow morning. So, and that's until April 27th is the date so far.
It's a good long time it's planned for, and it will probably be extended. They don't know. Literally don't know.
And there, if I can, press release did go out right before I came over here. So, and we included the city building as well as being closed, as well as it's on our Facebook page. So.
Good. And one of the things, and I haven't talked to many people about it yet, and it may be harder to do than I think, but on our city webpage we will have an update on this at the top. It'll just be whatever we get from probably the EOC to alert people to anything that they need to be aware of that we haven't already talked about.
I'll make sure that we're sharing that with you.
Yes, that'd be perfect. Thank you, Judy. Any other comments or questions?
Side note from all the virus thing, I noticed that the old nursing home is coming down. So.
It's almost gone.
Yeah.
Thank you for your picture. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people did a double take as they went by. Yeah.
As someone who works in schools, a couple things that I've noted throughout this whole thing. Obviously, schools at this time are shut down through the 27th as well. That seems to be the magic date. But I know for our school, we've been trying really hard to put a lot of stuff out on social media, resources for parents, and our Goldendale Community Library Facebook page has shared a ton of amazing resources that I have just, for our Wishram school page, just copy-paste onto our page. They've done a really great job of putting a lot of cool options, amazing amount of content you can access just by having a library card. So for parents who are freaking out over having their kiddos at home, that's an awesome resource that we have that are really doing a great job of putting stuff out there for people. And there's so much available right now. For me, and I know a lot of teachers, but just scrolling through my Facebook feed is tons of amazing links for online content that you can provide to kids at home, and great ideas for right now.
A lot of the stuff is free too.
Yes, yeah.
I have a friend that she signed her 2 kids up for some online courses that they picked the subjects that they wanted to learn about, and I don't know how long the courses are or whatever, but it's free. So.
Yeah. So there are a lot of great stuff out there. If you, you don't even have to look that hard for it. But I really wanted to give a shout out to the library. Whoever manages their page is doing a great job of pushing out some good content for our local kids and adults. Some of us are also sidelined by this and staying home. So Also, our grocery stores, I think, are doing an amazing job right now. Having been in a couple times over this last week, even today, it's like very calm. There's lots of food on the shelves. There's not a lot of toilet paper because people are losing their minds over that. But they're, everyone there is very, good attitudes, very upbeat. Is really nice to see.
Really excellent, yes.
And we're lucky to have two great grocery stores in town that are working hard to make sure that we have what we need right now, and make sure to give those people extra love when you see them, the folks working in there, because it's crazy for them right now as it is for any of us who work with the public.
We had one of the policy committee meetings was today, and there was an individual that, one of the people involved in the whole process, talked about the situation in White Salmon and the Hood River of grocery shelves being stripped of almost everything, including meat and vegetables. And Jeff King, who's the main person in the whole operation, he said he had been in our grocery stores Sunday morning. There was plenty of produce, everything was there except the paper and toilet paper and the hand
It's
sanitizer.
interesting because I know, just kind of scrolling through the Goldendale Facebook groups, it's all these people are like, oh, we went to the Dalles and there's nothing. And it's like, we have, like our stores here, they're fine, they're stocked, they have stuff. Like you might be paying, there might be a slight price differential, but as far as like convenience, time saved,
It's amazing.
I don't know, to me that's worth it. Like my time, my sanity is very worth it at this point. So,
Good point.
pick your battles, I guess. I don't know.
Anybody else? If not, we'll go to public comments. I don't know if anybody's here for public comments, but. Okay.
I don't think I have anything constructive to add.
Anybody that comes up with needs or questions or inquiries, or somebody asks you about something that you need help with, call City Hall. I don't know whether everybody has my card, but all my numbers work. The cell phone that I carry around isn't always in my pocket. It's sometimes left at home, but all of us are willing and hoping to be able to help people that have unique situations and need some guidance or some help or some information. So I think we can work together and come out of this in a much, much better place. With that, if we have a motion to adjourn, we will adjourn.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn City Council for March 16th, 2020. All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.